100 devotees from Russia for a yatra with Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj. And one day, as we usually do, we went to the Jagannath Mandir to do Harinam. And everybody's dancing and chanting on the street in front of the Jagannath temple. And as I often do, I got on top of a bicycle rickshaw that we brought with the speaker. And I spoke a few words to the devotees. And I told them, I said that we're dogs. A dog has to stay out in the street. A dog can't go inside the temple. So this is our place. And the devotees were looking a little down when I was saying like that. I said, but don't feel bad. We're Jagannath's dogs. It was very good. Huh? And what does a dog do? Huh? The dog jumps up and down, stays outside the house, and he jumps up and down and he barks. So that's what we're doing. We're out here in the street and we're jumping up and down, we're barking, doing our kirtan. So we should all offer our dandavat pranams, I suggested, in the road, and pray to Jagannath. So we did that. We all offered a dandavats there in the road to Jagannath. And this is a true story. When I got up, there was a panda there. And he had a basket in his hand, like they have for Mahaprasad. And this is exactly what he said. He said, Jagannath sent this to you. I was very... hairs are standing up on my arm. And I looked into the basket, and I saw it's not just ordinary prasadam. Of course, Jagannath Mahaprasad is never ordinary, but this is very extraordinary Mahaprasad. This is from the Balya Bhog, Jagannath's breakfast, which no one can get. They only offer a small amount of it. And the Pandus, they take that personally. So they sent it. So I stopped all the devotees from the kirtan. They were doing kirtan again. And then I got up on the rickshaw and I told them, I said, so what happens when you're jumping up and down and barking for your master out in the street? Huh? What does he do? He comes and he throws you a little bit of food. Huh? So see what Jagannath did. So we should have that kind of mentality. We should just think that I'm a dog. I'm a dog of the Lord. And if we think like that, if we have that kind of mentality, then we can really chant. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that this is the attitude of someone who's really chanting the holy name of the Lord, someone who's really becoming a Vaishnava. Excuse me, this is Chaitanya Bhagavat. Janmastami says, Brahmanari kukura chandala antarkori gandavat kori beka bahumanya kori. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. He says that such a personality, Brahmanari kukura chandala antarkori dandavata kori beka bahumanya, that you should offer dandavat pranams to all living entities, including, it said, the Brahmins, the kukurs, the dogs, the chandalas, the dog eaters. We should offer dandavats to all of them. That might become a little complicated if you're going out doing book distribution in a crowded city, and there's so many dogs there, cats, and so many thousands of people. If you offer dandavats to everybody, you might get run over by a car or something like that. There's a purport to it, that the Vaishnavas, they see the Lord in everyone's heart, and therefore they offer respects in that way. Uttamahana Vaishnava Habe Niraviman Jive Samana Dive Jani Krishna Adishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that although a Vaishnava is Uttama Jana, he's the most elevated person, Nirabhiman, he has no abhiman, no pride. And Jive Samana Dibijani Krishna Adhistan, he gives similar respect to everyone because he sees that the Lord is in the heart of all living entities. And so he can genuinely offer respect. Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat quotes a verse from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. Prananet Dandavat Bhumo Ashvachandala Go Karam Pravishto Jiva Kalaya Tatraiva Bhagavan Iti. Realizing that the Supreme Lord is in everyone's body as a super soul. One should offer obeisances to everyone, even the dogs, outcasts, cows, and asses. We should fall flat on the ground like a rod. And I've seen sometimes some sadhus in India, especially you'll see at Govardhan Kirtana, they'll be doing like this, or at least they'll be folding their hands, every monkey, every cow, every mayavadi, every dacoit, every personality they see, they'll offer some kind of respect, because that's the nature of a Vaishnava. We were speaking the last few days about this Bakasura, and how Bakasura represents external mundane religion. And the center of that external religion, Bhaktivinoda says, is that someone, they just simply become absorbed. Their religion becomes sectarianism and rituals. And we think about it, so many religions, even sometimes in our own movement, we have devotees who are simply absorbed in those two things. Some kind of sectarianism and some kind of rituals. In the beginning of Krishna Samhita, Bhaktivinoda says that sectarianism is a natural byproduct of spiritual life. When the Lord comes, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, and gives real religion, sectarianism is a natural byproduct of that. How is that? Bhaktivinoda goes on to explain. He says that different saints, they give different religious principles according to different time and place. For example, Prabhupada sometimes says that Prophet Muhammad was a Shakti-Vesh avatar. He was coming to speak a certain thing. He was empowered by the Lord. But what was he speaking? And who was he speaking to? If someone comes that is empowered, they're going to speak to a particular group of people, and they're going to have a particular message. I've heard that one of the most important instructions that Prophet Muhammad gave, very important instruction, is don't have sex with camels. You shouldn't do that. Prabhuji, you don't do that, right? Okay. It's a very bad thing. But I don't think devotees here have too much of a problem like that, right? There's no camels in Germany hardly, except in the zoo. So it's not a relevant instruction probably for devotees here. And he says that according to time, place, and circumstance, the sadhu guru, he comes and he gives particular instructions. Bhaktivinoda in Jaiva Dharma, he says it's tatkalika and sarvakalika. The sadhu will speak two different ways. He'll say some things which are time, place, and circumstance, and some things which are sarvakalika, which are meant for all times and all places. And if we don't understand this principle, we won't be able to understand the sadhu. And there's a story that once there was a veterinarian who was very expert in treating animals, and he had a student who was watching him and learning the trade from him. And one day someone called for the veterinarian doctor to come because his horse had a huge swelling on the neck. And so the doctor looked inside the mouth of the horse and kind of knocked on the swelling a little bit and listened. And then he told his assistant, go to my bag and bring me a hammer. So the assistant did that, and the doctor took that hammer and he slammed the hammer into the neck of the horse. And then immediately the swelling went down. And so that student was making notes on everything that his teacher did. And shortly after that, he left and started his own business. And then after a few weeks, people started coming to the doctor, his teacher, and complaining, your student killed my animal. He took a hammer and smashed him in the neck and killed him. People started coming and complaining like that. And finally, that teacher, he went to his student, what are you doing, man? And he said, well, I learned it from you. I saw you took the hammer and you hit the horse in the neck and the disease went away, but something doesn't work right for me when I try. And that veterinarian doctor told him, idiot, that horse had swallowed a watermelon. He was a special case. So you can't just imitate that. And we have to be very, very careful. In our movement, sometimes we have quarrels amongst the devotees because for us, Srila Prabhupada is everything. We don't have the luxury like a lot of Gaudiya Vaishnavas that we grew up in India and there's so many different sadhus around who are speaking different things. We had one sadhu, and such a very special, wonderful sadhu, Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada came and he spoke a certain thing to us. But the nature of sadhu, and we have three different aspects which guide us in our life. Narottam Das Thakur says we have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So Guru, we could say, is a relative manifestation of the Absolute. I'll say that again. Guru is a relative manifestation of the Absolute. Because my Guru is not necessarily your Guru, or his Guru, or her Guru. And Gurudev comes at a particular place. He's a manifestation of Krishna who comes at a particular time and a particular place to speak to a particular group of people. Srila Prabhupada's godbrother and Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he said that Srila Prabhupada was a Shaktivesh avatar. If we say that he's a Shaktivesh avatar, if you say that to a scholarly person, they're going to ask you, okay, which Shakti? Shakti for what? Because if someone is Shaktivesh, if they have some potency of the Lord, it means for some particular purpose. And we consider the matter, we can see clearly, very simply, Srila Prabhupada was empowered to preach to the West. And today, in this world, that means the whole planet. Because India in the East is also following the West. And Srila Prabhupada was very, very empowered to do that. So, sometimes we have some difficulties in our movement because Prabhupada said different things at different times. In one letter I saw Prabhupada said, yes, you can dress the deities in black. And then in another letter Prabhupada said, who said you should dress the deities in black? You should not do like that. Prabhupada gave sannyas to several devotees in Vrindavan, and he called one of them in, and he said, so, you've taken sannyas. Sannyas means always traveling. You should never stay in one place, you should travel everywhere. Then he called the other sannyasi and he said, so I want you to stay here in Vrindavan and don't go anywhere. And you teach in the Gurukul. So sadhu does like that. I'm not mentioning anything controversial, Srila Prabhupada said, but there's other things which sometimes devotees find controversial. Because naturally, the sadhu is going to say some things which are desha kala patra, which are time, place, and circumstance. Bhaktivinoda says that. So we have to try to understand that personality to get his mercy. We can't just simply imitate or follow it in a blind way. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that there's a certain type of Vaishnava who's a Bharavahi. He's just carrying a heavy load. And he just repeats everything verbatim. Like this is a sticker I saw once in America. It said, Jesus said it, I believe it, and that settles it. And so sometimes we have a similar mood towards Srila Prabhupada. And it's a good mood, in a way. Srila Prabhupada said it, I believe it, and that settles it. That's nice, but it's not as simple as that. Because sometimes Srila Prabhupada gave one instruction to one devotee and gave something else to someone else. One time he said that better you don't play guitar and you don't write your own song, but other times he gave permission to some devotees to do it. So if we try to take a blanket, try to make a blanket policy based on one thing they said, it won't fit everywhere. Rather, we have to try to understand the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And his mood is that he wants to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. And for us to understand his mood, we have to become proper reciprocals. My Guru Maharaj used to say that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving so much mercy. He's a prema Dhana avatar, he's giving Krishna prema freely to everyone. But are we getting it? Maybe I'm not getting it. He said, why aren't you getting it? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said that Kaviraj Goswami, he describes Mahaprabhu as Singhagora. He's like a lion. In many places he compares Mahaprabhu to a lion. So my Guru Maharaj said, if you want to go and collect lion's milk, the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that lion's milk is a very powerful kind of milk. And if you take a clay pot, and the clay pot's not powerful enough to contain, to keep that lion's milk in it. So you want a pot that's made out of gold. You want some pot that's very, very powerful. He said, so we're coming for the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the pot that we have has many holes in it. And because of the holes in that pot, we're not getting the mercy of the Lord. We're not behaving properly. We're doing more or less, we were speaking the last few days, like Bhakasura. We're doing something externally. And therefore we become absorbed in sectarianism. which, to continue on that point, Bhaktivinoda says that when the sadhu comes, he speaks a certain thing for a particular time and place, and it's different in different places at different times. The way people dress is different in different places. We were mentioning this the other day, we have this quarrel sometimes amongst the devotees about Vaishnava dress. But I tell you, they dress differently. The Vaishnavas, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in Manipur don't dress the same as they do in Orissa or in Gujarat or in South India. They dress a little differently in different places. It's a natural thing. And similarly, when the sadhu comes, he's going to give different instructions a little bit in different places to different people. We were in Sweden for the Scandinavian Bhakti Sangam, and Bhakti Raghava Maharaj was making a nice presentation about Vanashram. And he was saying that the idea is we're going to translate different shastras about things like gardening and building houses and making clothes. And we'll translate these things, and so we'll have these shastras for the devotees here. And I raised my hand, he asked for questions, and I said, Maharaj, this is very nice. I said, but I have a doubt. I don't see how it's going to be practical. You're going to take a book which is written for someone maybe in Orissa or Vrindavan where it's very hot and they live in a certain way, and we're going to try to apply this in Germany. There's different kinds of vegetables here. There's a different kind of growing season, and the houses are different and things. So how are we going to be able to do this? And there was some discussion. We suggested that we're going to have to also learn some things from our own local tradition. And Srila Prabhupada actually encourages too. He said that there'll be different Vaishnavas in different places. He spoke about there'll be the Russian Vaishnavas, and the Chinese Vaishnavas, and the American Vaishnavas. We have Gujarati Vaishnavas and Bengali Vaishnavas. And they're a little bit different. They eat in a little different way. I once invited a friend of ours who was working with us to lunch in the MVT. He's from Orissa, my friend. And he'd been working very hard helping us. So I gave him lasagna and pizza